who? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Cube. This is by far my favorite trivia app because they let me host on it. And this is by far the most excited I've ever been to host trivia for you all because today's trivia, it's all about the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and The Last Dance. So this has been like one of the most anticipated documentaries that I can ever remember, partially because we have no live sports to celebrate, and so we just need to get excited about something else. And what more to get excited about than an epic 10-part documentary series about one of the greatest franchises, one of the most dominant pro basketball teams in the history of Western civilization, the 90s Chicago Bulls. So if you missed it, ESPN aired the first 2 parts of the 10-part documentary, The Last Dance, last night. And that's what today's trivia is all about. Usually we do everything from movies to music to products in your refrigerator, but today it's all about The Last Dance. So if you're not a big sports fan, don't worry. I'm going to walk you through it. There's some multiple choices, and you're going to be able to guess just fine. But if you watch The Last Dance, you really have a leg up on the competition here because $50 is at stake over this 15-question test that we have tonight. Let's talk about The Last Dance. Did y'all enjoy it? I got home a little late because I was out running errands for a friend who was, whatever, I'm a good person. And then I finally get home and I put it on. And I got to tell you, man, I was so excited about this anyway. And then the detail and just seeing Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the icon of my youth, just chilling, sitting there with a whiskey and a cigar and just laughing sometimes and showing us a side of his personality we have never seen before. I thought that was really cool. Did they beat up on former general manager Jerry Krause? Yeah, they did. And deservedly so. I don't want to see the whole 10-part documentary series just beating up on Jerry Krause because, look, the guy, he let his ego get the best of him. We know that. Well, let's move on and let's talk about some hoops. But Jerry Krause, not the best GM in the world. I will defend him in that I would have held Michael Jordan out too after he broke his foot because you don't want to risk the franchise. But other than that, you got to pay Scottie Pippen, you got to pay Phil Jackson, and give Michael Jordan the coach and the team that he wants. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox now. So this is the closest thing I have to Chicago Bulls gear. So I don't own a Jordan jersey. I have a pair of Jordans, but they're home at my mom's place in Virginia. So this is it. Red tie. I kind of look like Tim Floyd after he got fired from the Bulls. Yeah, be that as it may, today's quiz is all about The Last Dance. So the way it's going to work is you have 10 multiple choice questions, then you have 5 fill-in-the-blank questions, and they're all about this documentary that we saw last night. So if you know a little bit about the Bulls or Jordan or Pippen, Phil Jackson, you're going to do okay in this, but if you watched the 2 episodes last night, you're going to do really well. So that's how it works. But that's not the only thing on the line today. Today is the last game in our monthly leaderboard challenge. So not only is $50 on the line for the game tonight, $1,500 is on the line tonight. Are you competing in the monthly leaderboard challenge? I know 2 names that are at the top of the leaderboard. So get this right now. Dr. Nerd is at the top, but trailing him by 1 point is Andy Akeko. So we have a 1-point game heading in to this last match. I hope both of y'all saw the Last Dance documentary because that's how you're getting points today. That's how everybody gets points today. You answer a question right, you get a point. If you miss it, don't worry about it. Keep playing. The app's not going to kick you out. Use an extra life if you have it because, again, $50 is on the line. Remember to share this with your friends because we do fun theme quizzes like this all the time. Sometimes it's about music, sports, movies, anything and everything else. Just share the app, and every time somebody uses your referral code, you get a free extra life. They get a free extra life. And what's better than extra lives, especially in this weird time that we're living in? So all we got to do is make $50 tonight and then get to next Sunday when we get more Last Dance. All right, you guys ready to play? I'm excited. This is anytime we talk sports and it's movie trivia or sports trivia or TV. I just love trivia, and I love all of you for hanging out with me. So here we go. Your first question is not actually for points. This is just a survey, just something for fun we're doing, and it's here to warm you up. So multiple choice. How much of ESPN's The Last Dance did you watch last night? How much of The Last Dance did you watch? Did you watch all of it? Did you watch some? Or did you watch none of it? I saw people were all over Twitter talking about this. It was like you were live tweeting like a real sporting event. It was like the Super Bowl was happening. So all, some, none. All right, fair amount of people said they did not watch The Last Dance. So it's going to be a very interesting and maybe quick quiz today. So that's good news for the over 200 people who said they saw all of it. You're in good shape right now because $50 is on the line. And I believe $50 is how much they paid Scottie Pippen for his years of service, if you were to believe the documentary last night. All right, let's do a survey too before we get into the actual trivia. And the survey question is, name one of the sponsors of The Last Dance. And this is fill in the blank. So if you didn't watch it, you're probably going to be up a creek. But you remember that movie that had Jesse Eisenberg and Justin Timberlake and Andrew Garfield in it? And it was about that social media thing. Which site was that about? Which site was that? Was it MySpace? Was it Friendster? No. It was Facebook. It was the Facebook. And then they shortened it to just Facebook. So that's one of them. But we wanted you to name a sponsor and see who came up with the most correct percentage of an answer. And yes, Nike, ESPN, and Facebook in that order. So most of y'all said Nike, and for good reason, because Nike, Air Jordan, synonymous. One hand washes the other. All right, gang, you ready to play? $50 on the line, 15 questions. Get your game face on. Here's your first question, and it is in the world of multiple choice, and it's about The Last Dance. What high school did Michael Jordan go to? What high school did he go to? Was it Laney, Westover, or Wilmington? Now, MJ famously cut from his high school team when he was in 10th grade. And like when I was in 10th grade, I never even had dreams of making varsity. That was for juniors and seniors. I did make the team when I was a junior and senior. What's the answer? Looking for Laney High School from North Carolina, but not Wilmington and not Westover. It was Laney. So I have 350 correct answers on that one. And that's how many people, I guess, watched The Last Dance last night. North Carolina head coach, did Jordan tell, I want to be the best to ever play here? Which coach did he tell that to? Now, all of these gentlemen are head coaches, but which coach of any capacity? Was it Dean Smith, Roy Williams, or Larry Brown? Roy Williams is the current Carolina head coach. He was an assistant coach back when Jordan was there. Larry Brown, big Carolina name, and Dean Smith was the head coach, but the coach that we were looking for was Roy Williams. That's right, Roy Williams. He was an assistant coach at Carolina, and then he went to be a head coach for Kansas for a long time, then came back to North Carolina, where he still is the head coach, who occasionally gets bouts of vertigo. All right, 144 perfect correct answers there. So we still have 144 perfect ready to go. And this I'm telling you what, I love competition. Dr. Nerd versus Andy Akeko. This is what I'm looking for. We move on to your third question in today's matchup. How did Scottie Pippen's brother end up in a wheelchair? So this is something interesting that I wasn't aware of last night when I watched the show. Was it wrestling, a car accident, or a stroke? So Scottie Pippen's dad was actually in a wheelchair for most of his childhood, and then his brother tragically also ending up in a wheelchair. But what was the cause of it? It was actually wrestling. It was a high school wrestling accident. And Scottie Pippen, tough upbringing from town in Arkansas that we will get to later in the quiz. Almost gave away an answer there, but I'm better than that. All right, your next multiple choice question is, where did North Carolina play Georgetown for the 1982 NCAA championship? Was it New Orleans, New York City, or New Haven? So this is one of the most epic finals in March Madness history, with Jordan hitting the shot to beat the vaunted Hoyas, who were favored. Patrick Ewing was on the team, John Thompson, the coach. Sleepy Floyd had that pass at the end after Michael Jordan hit the shot in New Orleans. Narland is where it was, in the Superdome. Imagine a place that big, that cavernous, hitting a game-winning shot when you're a freshman. And as Michael Jordan said, that's the day that Mike became Michael Jordan. We move on to your next question, and it's another multiple choice coming at you. Here we go. Who was Michael Jordan's college roommate? Was it James Worthy, Buzz Peterson, or Matt Doherty? So all three of those fellows played basketball at UNC. I think Doherty went on to coach him for a little bit, didn't he? So we have James Worthy, Buzz Peterson, and Matt Doherty. So the answer we're looking for is Buzz Peterson. Buzz Peterson, who now is the assistant GM of the Hornets, which are owned, of course, by Michael Jordan. So James Worthy was on the team when Jordan came there. And by Worthy's own admission, James Worthy was the best player on that team for about 2 weeks. And then Jordan just kept learning, kept competing, and eventually became the Michael Jordan that we know. Your next question, world of multiple choice. To end Game 6 of the 1997 NBA Finals, who got the final dunk at the buzzer to seal the deal? Was it Tony Kukoc, Scottie Pippen, or Michael Jordan? So think about this. When they played a little bit of it last night, there's a steal by Pippen, and then there's a pass to Tony Kukoc, the enemy of Pippen and Jordan in the 92 Dream Team Olympics, because they thought he was going to be the successor to them at the Bulls, but they teamed up and they won 3 championships together. Tony Kukoc was the answer, and we are now 33 perfect games left. This is going to be a barn burner. 33, Larry Bird's number. Ooh, this is getting good. All right, your next question. Kenny Mayne's SportsCenter commercial last night was for what product? Was it State Farm, Facebook, or Reese's? So Kenny Mayne had this cool commercial where it's like old footage, but they changed like the mouth, so it sounds like he's speaking now, but it's Kenny Mayne from the 90s and the SportsCenter facade from the 90s, which is my favorite era of SportsCenter. The way that the SportsCenter graphics were in the 90s, I'd love to keep those forever. Anyway, I digress. The answer we're looking for, khakis, Jake from State Farm. State Farm is the answer. Not Facebook, not Reese's. We didn't fool too many of y'all on that one, so we still got 25 perfect games left. We still have a bunch of y'all competing in there. Over 500 competitors still raging because y'all love The Last Dance, or you just like me hosting this Q app. Well, thank you for that. Multiple choices, your next question. During the championship run, Scottie Pippen was paid less than how many players in the NBA? Big theme last night. Was it 17 players, 84 players, or 121 players? Pippen, he signed a bum contract. I blame his agent more than I blame GM Jerry Krause or owner Jerry Reinsdorf, but it is what it is. 7 years, $18 million for Scottie Pippen. That's a steal. The answer is 121 players were better compensated in the NBA at that time than Scottie Pippen, which is pretty crazy to think. Who else in that time do you pay more? Maybe Hakeem Olajuwon or David Robinson. That's about the list. Crazy. All right, next question. Sticking with the Scottie Pippen theme. In what city did Scottie Pippen grow up? So I mentioned he is from Arkansas. Is he from Hamburg, Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, or Hope, Arkansas? I can promise you those are all 3 real towns in Arkansas. They sound made up, but they're real. Hamburg's also a place in Germany where the Beatles got really good, and Hamburg in Arkansas is where Scottie Pippen got really good. It's a town of, I think, less than 3,500 people, but Scottie Pippen was one of them. And when you go to Hamburg, Arkansas, there's a sign that says, home of Scottie Pippen. You're entering Scottie Pippen country. Little Rock is the capital. Hope is where Bill Clinton's from. Bill Clinton even remembers seeing Scottie Pippen playing in college at Central Arkansas. Okay, well, that leads us to our next question. Scottie Pippen began his college basketball career at Central Arkansas. At what position? When he began at Central Arkansas, was it point guard, small forward, or equipment manager? Ooh, this feels like a trap. So Scottie Pippen entered college. He wasn't as tall as he became in the NBA. He was 6'1" when he entered, which is the size of a point guard, but Scottie Pippen actually started as the equipment manager for Central Arkansas. And then he kept working on his game. He got a nice little growth spurt, and he became Scottie Pippen that we all know and love. So got 20 games remaining, and Dr. Nerd and Andy Akeko still competing for that $1,500 monthly leaderboard challenge top spot. It's getting good here, and now we are in the fill-in-the-blank phase of today's quiz. 5 questions remain, and they're all going to be fill-in-the-blank. You ready? You pumped? You like my tie? Here it is. Scottie Pippen was drafted by a team from what city? Scottie Pippen was drafted by a team from what city? So we don't need the team. We need you to type in what city that team was based in. And remember, this is like the mid to late 80s. So what teams were around? What cities are they from? What are we looking at? We all know that Scottie Pippen spent the bulk of his NBA career with the Chicago Bulls. Then he went on to the Houston Rockets for a cup of coffee. Then he went to the Portland Trailblazers and almost went back to the finals if they didn't completely gag away a game to the Los Angeles Lakers in the early 2000s. But he was actually drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. The Supersonics drafted him, and then that night his rights were traded to the Chicago Bulls. So he never actually suited up for the Seattle Supersonics. And Seattle, I'm with you. Can we just get y'all an NBA team and call them the Supersonics and bring the color scheme back? Because that was a great, great uniform look. The 90s one, I'm not so, I like the 80s Supersonics look. All right. I digress. Your next question in the world of fill in the blank is Rod Higgins claimed Jordan's drink of choice was orange juice and what? All right, so this is the Jordan when he first came into the league. Not the Jordan who's sipping whiskey and chomping on a cigar in the interview. Orange juice and what? It was a soda. It was a kind of soda, so it was not alcohol. There's that great story of him walking into a hotel room with his teammates, and his teammates are doing all sorts of stuff, and Jordan's like, I'm going to go iron my clothes. He wanted no part of that. He was just having orange juice and a 7-Up. 7-Up is the answer. 7-Up. Remember Spot? I think Spot got his own Sega Genesis game, if I'm not mistaken. Looking for 7-Up. And so with 45 correct total responses is what we got here. So we're getting down to the bottom of the barrel and the top of the leaderboard, as it were. We have 14 perfect games left, and we have 3 questions remaining. They're all fill in the blank. Here's your next one. In the 1986 playoffs, which player did Jordan golf with before Game 2 in Boston? This is a crazy story because I know Jordan loved playing golf. I didn't know he was playing golf back then, and he also played golf with the enemy. He played golf with a player on the Boston Celtics in between playoff games. He dropped 49 in Game 1, although the Bulls lost. And then in Game 2, he dropped 63. In double overtime, the Bulls still lost. And the player that he golfed with in between, it was for the enemy Boston Celtics, was, now I think he's their GM, Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge is the answer. Danny Ainge, great basketball and baseball player in college. I think he did a little bit of pro ball as well in both stints. And then he went on to a very successful championship run as an NBA point guard. And now he's a GM of the Celtics. So 12 perfect games remaining, and we have 2 questions left. Y'all really did your homework here, and Dr. Nerd is one of the perfect rounds left. So Dr. Nerd clearly watching The Last Dance last night, and our penultimate fill-in-the-blank question is, how many minutes was Michael Jordan limited to per half when he came back in the 1986 season? So in the 3rd game of the season against the Warriors, he broke his foot. And when he finally was able to come back, the team was very, very cautious with him, and they put him on a severe minute limit. He was allowed to play how many minutes per half? The answer, 7. Can you imagine Michael Jordan only getting on the court 7 minutes per half? Yeah, I mean, he still dominated when he was in the game, but 7 minutes, that's tough. But hey, you got to be careful with the franchise, okay? Okay, a lot of people knew that one. Well done. You guys are not going away easy. So now we come to our last question, and we have 12 perfect games remaining. It all comes down to this, both for the game and for the monthly leaderboard challenge. Here we go. Your fill-in-the-blank finale is, what was the nickname of Michael Jordan's high school? What was that mascot? Michael Jordan, we all know he went to Laney, right? Famously got cut, and then dominated, and then was not Mr. Basketball in the state of North Carolina when he was a senior. It was actually Buzz Peterson was Mr. Basketball in that state. And I think Jordan still is mad about it. So what was the mascot? What was the team name at Laney High? It was, come on, get there. Yeah, think about it. It was not the Wildcats. I'm seeing some Magic. I'm seeing some Tigers. I'm seeing some Bulls. All incorrect. We're actually looking for Bucks. Bucks was the answer we're looking for. Bucks is in like Buccaneers, not like the Milwaukee Bucks, but like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucks is the answer. And that is our game here today. So 6 perfect games. And wait, if you made it to the Last Dance in this Last Dance quiz, then my hat's off to you, because I watched it last night and then I watched it again this morning, and I don't think I could have gotten all 15 of those. So congratulations to everyone for competing today. What better way to honor Michael Jordan and the legacy of the 90s Bulls than with a hard-fought competition? 6 perfect games. Congratulations to everyone who won and shared $50 in the prize money, and congrats to everybody for playing. Hope you had a great weekend, and thank you all for humoring us in this very fun, at least for me, I hope y'all enjoyed it too, themed quiz of The Last Dance. I'll be back tomorrow, as will Audrey. Audrey is going to be back at 7 p.m. on the East Coast. I'll be back at 8:30 on the East Coast, and I'm being told that it's not sports tomorrow. maybe a couple sports questions tomorrow. So I'll see what I can do. In the meantime, have a great night. Congrats to all of our winners. I'm Mark Ellis, and I will see y'all tomorrow.